So we've been crunching the data, and it's a bit like going back in time, but you take a look at the rise and fall of these fortunes, and it's eye-watering.
It is eye-watering. We all talked about how, cheap money supercharged wealth during the pandemic, for a select few, of course. But when you actually go back and look at it, the numbers are astounding. The richest people in the world minted money at an unprecedented rate. And what we've called the COVID billionaires, which is essentially that subsection of the Bloomberg's Billionaires Index, which made most of their money from related things to the pandemic. So let's think about things like the stay-at-home trend. So let's think about things like Zoom. Let's think about things like the Moderna vaccine. Their fortunes soared even faster than the rest of the billionaires.
Are there any big difference between COVID billionaires and the other ultra-wealthy? Now, large parts of the world are moving on from the pandemic.
Now, that's where it gets pretty interesting because, we talked about these extraordinary fortunes that were minted, by the likes of, Zoom, Moderna, etc. These really have come back to earth since the large parts of the world started moving on from the pandemic. So take Ernie Garcia, who was the co-founder of Carvana, the used car sales thing. So since his peak, he's lost 82% of his wealth. I mean, these are huge numbers. This sort of crash and crumble of fortunes is unlike anything we've seen, in decades. You've got to go back to things like the tech crash and even before then, the Great Depression to see this sort of crumbling of fortunes. They're still up on pre-pandemic for most of these people. The rich have still made quite a lot of money. But those who made their money on the back of the pandemic really have come back to earth.
We know COVID-19 was brutal when it comes to you being in the wrong tax bracket, right? But since then, have we seen any improvement when it comes to the outlook for ordinary workers, or has it just gotten worse with rising rates and higher costs?
Well, think back to the start of the year. We were starting to see things starting to look back with economies reopen and everything like that. But as inflation got out of control, things have really started to get worse for the average ordinary person. Central banks around the world are on a collective mission to hike interest rates to try and get inflation back in the bag. And, we talk almost every day about the energy price chart. These are really extraordinary financial times which minted both extraordinary fortunes and created extreme poverty. And, for the average middle class, things are as tough as they've been for a long while.